Good day, everyone. My name is Rizal Aguilar. I'm one of the reporters for today. So, our topic is all about gender, sexuality, and sexual harassment and abuse. So, I was tasking to tackle about the introduction. So, a person's sex, as determined by his or her biology, does not always correspond with their gender. You know why? It's because there's always, when a person was born in that kind of sex that they have, if he or she is a boy or a girl, it does not correspond with their gender. It's because there's always a possibilities that they are being changed and become dressed out like a boy or a girl. That's why there are so many plus nowadays. There's a plus and they become a lesbian or gay. They want it to be as like that, and then therefore the term sex and gender are not interchangeable. So scholars generally regard gender as social contract, meaning does not exist naturally. So ang gender is it is a social contract, and it does not exist naturally. So when you are born as a boy or a girl, that is not your gender directly, because you're possibly defined as a girl or a boy right now, but your gender is what you are prefer of what you want to be. So but instead of concept that is created by a cultural and societal norms, so it was been influences, sometimes it was adopted, and it's because of the environment sometimes that we are being changed as who we are of who we are. So human sexuality refers to people's sexual interest and attraction to others. So this is very common. You know, we all have this kind of aspect. So human sexuality, it refers to the lust also, and the interest of, that's why a person could feel interest in someone. It's because of human sexuality. It pulls throughout to be attached with someone, and then as well their capacity to have erotic experience and responses. That's why we are being dealt to attach, and we have that kind of feeling to be commit with someone and do it in romantically. So next is the biological and the physical aspects of sexuality, largely concern the human reproduction function, including the human sexual response cycle, the basic biological drive that exists in all species. So not just us as a human being, even animals, even other species has this kind of aspects. So it is, everyone could have a sexual response. It's because of the lust, and it is natural. It was been we are being exist like this to explore to. And the next is the emotional aspects of sexuality, includes the bonds between individuals that are expressed through profound feelings or physical manifestations of love, trust, and care. So about the emotional aspects, the reason why we get in love or having a mutual understanding, it's because of that emotion that we had. We could express our feelings by physical manifestations of love, trust, and care. It's because of that emotion that we had. The next is social aspect, deals with the effects of human society in one's sexuality. What we see is what we feel. Then also, so it's because of how we socialize, we could find someone that we prefer of to be with. And the next is spirituality, concerns an individual's spiritual connection with others through sexuality. So, spirituality, when from the words spirituality, it is more on the conscience, on how we feel of the connections of the person. The next is sexuality, also impacts and impacted by cultural, political, legal, philosophical, moral, ethical, and religious aspects of life. So there are different ways of where that sexuality came from. There are some cultural, the political, legal, philosophical, etc. And then sexual harassment is form of discrimination based on sex. So when we say sexual harassment, it's about unpleasure. When you are forcing someone to do so for an activity or in a romantic way that is not being with a pleasure or a willingness to do it, that is a sexual harassment. In the next, let's proceed to the Ontario Human Rights Code. The code prohibits all forms of discrimination based on sex and includes provision that focus on sexual harassment. So this, we have an act or a law for this. This is the Ontario Human Rights Codes. So we are being this is the rule for us to be informed, not to be so discriminated for the discriminations and the harassment and the abuse. This is the case for us to use. So next is the abuse occurs when people mistreat or misuse other people, showing no concern to the integrity or innate worth as individuals and in manner that degrades well-being. So when we are forcing someone and then that is not in pleasure, or misuse something that is not yours, misuse something or showing no concern for the integrity of a person or to your society or to the individual that you are being attached or been socialized for, that is called abuse. There's all many ways about using the word abuse, because when we are misuse something, that is abusive. And that's all. Thank you.
Good day. Now I will talk about the different types of sexuality. Number one is a homosexual person. Homosexual person gets turned on by or fall in love with people of the same sex. So, isa kang homosexual kapag lalaki ka at umiibig ka lang sa lalaki, kung babae ka at umiibig ka lang sa babae din. Second is a bisexual person gets turned on by and or fall in love with people regardless of their genders and gender, fall in love and want to have sex with both girls and boys. So, isa kang bisexual kapag lalaki ka ay umiibig ka din sa lalaki at sa babae. Kung babae ka din, umiibig ka sa kapwa babae at sa lalaki. Trans is a collective name for people with gender identities which do not follow the norms. Transvestites are people who like to dress in a manner typical of the opposite sex. So, it means, kung lalaki ka din manamit, kung babae ka din manamit, at sinusunod nila kung ano talaga ang sinusuot sa mga lalaki at babae. Transsexualism deals with gender, not sexuality. So, ang transitionalism, gender siya at hindi siya sexuality. Queer is a concept we use to describe those who cannot or will not identify themselves as heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, or transsexual. So ang queer, hindi nila alam kung ano talaga sila, kung homosexual ba sila, transgender, heterosexual, and bisexual. A heterosexual person gets turned on by an or fall in love with people of the opposite sex. So, this means kapag lalaki ka, kapag sa babae ka lang umiibig, kung babae ka, sa lalaki ka din umiibig, yan po ang ibig sabihin ng heterosexual. Maraming salamat po.
My topic is all about sexuality. What is sexuality? Sexuality refers to an individual's sexual orientation, desires, attractions, behaviors, and identity. It encompasses various aspects such as sexual orientations, like being heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, and etc. Romantic attractions, preferences, and how individuals express themselves sexually and or emotionally. And then, here are the elements or dimensions of sexuality. Sex. Am I biological male or female? Gender identity. Do I identify myself as a male or female or other, which may or may not be the same as my biological sex? Gender role. What roles do men and women take on? What is different? What is the same? Sexual orientation. To whom will I be erotically and emotionally attracted? Biology. What changes will I go through at puberty? What effect will my hormones have on me? What changes will I experience at different life stages? Relationships. How do I know who I am? How will I relate to others? Values and beliefs. What is right? What is wrong to me? How do I make those choices? What is the basis for my sexual decision making? Reproductive decisions. Will I become a parent? If so, when? And if so, when and with whom? If not, what will I do to prevent that? Sexual health. How will I remain sexually healthy? What do I need to do to protect myself, my partner, my future from diseases and emotional harm? Feelings. What feelings do I have about sexuality and sexual relationships? Is this scary, exciting, repulsive? How do I experience intimacy? Physiological feelings. What feels pleasurable to me? What sexual expressions or behaviors feels about good to me? What kinds of touch are pleasant? What arouses me? What sexual behaviors do not feel pleasant to me? What would I rather not to do? Sexual skills. How comfortable do I feel in social situations? Do I know appropriate boundaries? Thoughts, fantasies, and daydreams. Sometimes I will just wonder about things, imagine them, think about them. Would I feel comfortable with them? Would I think they were silly? Sexual orientation and gender identity. Sex is a term used to describe the biological status of a person. Characterize the male sex by the presence of male sex organs such as the penis and testicles, while the female sex is characterized by a vagina and breasts. Sexual orientations describes a person's preferences for who they find emotionally, romantically, and sexually attractive. Examples of sexual orientation. Heterosexual. Heterosexual is a person who is sexually or romantically attracted to people of the opposite sex. Those people, the straight boy or the straight girl, that the boy attract to girl and the girl attract to boy. That is a heterosexual person. The second, homosexual. Homosexual is a person who is sexually or romantically attracted to people of their same sex. For example, the lesbian or the female attracted to female, and the gay attracted to gay, or boy attracted to boy. That's a homosexual. Third one is a bisexual. Bisexual is characterized by bisexual or romantic attractions to people or one same sex and of the opposite sex. For example, the female attract to female, and she attract to boy, and or a boy attract to girl and attract for the same sex. And the fourth one, asexual. This example of sexual orientation, not having sexual feelings towards others, not experiencing sexual desires or attraction. Wala siyang nararamdaman kahit sino. And then, different types of sexual orientation. We have two different types of sexual orientations. First, the monosexual. Monosexual people are attracted to single gender, namely heterosexuals and homosexuals. This monosexual is a secondary identities. And the second one is a plurisexual. Includes people with the bisexual, pansexual, queer, or fluid communities. This plurisexual is primary identities. LGBTQIAP, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning, intersex, and asexual, then pansexual. That is the meaning of LGBTQIAP.
So good day everyone, I am Mary Ann Barcelo, and we will going to continue what I had discussed earlier. And next is the androsexuality or androphilia. Androsexuality or androphilia is defined as attraction to men and or sexuality. So it says that androsexuality or androphilia is referred to a sexual attraction where individuals are primarily attracted to males or masculinity. It is often used as an umbrella term that encompasses attraction to men regardless of the gender identity of the person experiencing the attraction. Next is aromanticism. Aromanticism is people who do not feel romantic desire considered aromantic. Being aromantic is not the same as being asexual. So what is the difference between aromantic and asexual? Aromantic and asexual are related but in distinct concepts. Aromantic refers to a lack of romantic attractions or interest in romantic relationships, while asexual or asexuality, it relates to a lack of sexual attraction or a minimal interest in sexual activity. So what is category X? Category X includes those who do not feel sexual attractions or have sexual desire. Next is bisexuality or bisexual. It is referred to as bi. A person is bisexual that attracted to people of both their own and another gender. And bisexuality is often delegitimized by other sexual orientation, and it is often ignored or erased. And bisexuality is often feel invisible in the society. Next is demisexuality. It is a person who does not experience sexual attraction unless they form a strong connection with someone. Next is genisexuality and geniphilia. People who are erotically attracted to women, females, and or femininity are known to be genisexual or geniphilic. Genisexuality does not specify an individual's gender as term lesbian, would, but simple denotes that they are solely drawn to feminine qualities. So it says that genesexuality or genephilia refers to a sexual orientation where individuals are primarily attracted to females or femininity. It encompasses attractions to women regardless of the gender identity of the person experiencing the attraction. Next is heterosexuality. It is a term used to describe a person who is bisexually and romantically attracted to individuals of a gender other than their own. So it means that it refers to a sexual orientation where individuals are primarily attracted to a people of opposite gender. In other words, heterosexual individuals are attracted to members of the opposite sex.
So, good day everyone. The second topic is homosexuality. So, homosexuality is a person who identifies as homosexual is one who is physically, romantically, and or emotionally attracted to individuals of the same gender with which they identify. A man who is attracted to other men is usually referred to as a gay. And next, a woman who is attracted to other women may refer to be called lesbian. So understandable naman ang homosexuality mo kasi ang lalaki is attract sa lalaki. So, medyo nagkaroon lalaki, wag siya ay ma-attract na siya sa iyang kapwa nila. Walang babae, tinatawag natin siyang lesbian kasi na-attract siya or nahihirap siya sa kapwa nating babae. So next we have pansexuality. Pansexuality is derived from the Greek perfect-span, meaning or people who identify as pansexual are attracted to others regardless of sex, gender. Next include attraction to people who identify as male, female, transgender, intersex, third gender, genderqueer, or anything between. So, ang pansexuality is a sexual, romantic, or emotional attraction towards people of all genders or regardless of their sex or gender identity. So next we have queer. Queer serves as umbrella term of all non-heterosexual, non-cisgender identities. Can be seen in more fluid and specifically non-binary sexual orientation and can be used to describe a singular sexual identity or includes other identities. So for queer dahil which is used by individuals who may not strictly fit into conventional categories like gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. So next, we have sexual identity. Sexual identity, in its most general sense, refers to the way a person expresses who they are as a sexual person. It spans the importance of sexual expression has or does not have in a person's life, the way they express their sexuality, and any preference they have about the kind of sexual partner they choose. So, sexual identity is for like sexual identity is a person identifies as a lesbian, so their sexual identity aligns with being attracted to individuals of the same gender. So next, we have legal, sexual, and reproductive rights of women. So, sexual and reproductive health and rights (SRHR) of women and girls are too often sidelined from key policy debates on women's rights, dismissed as controversial, and separate the discussion on women's economic political life. So, ang legal rights of women, so it tells us that about women's rights should encompass not only economic and political aspect but also address the crucial dimensions of sexual and reproductive health and rights. Also, it emphasizes the need for the holistic approach to ensure the well-being and rights of women in all aspects of their lives. So next, we have health-related rights under the Women's Convention. So first, the Convention guarantees the right to decide on the number and spacing of children, but address women's right in relation to health. Next, the Convention also refers to women's rights to protection of health and safety in working conditions, including the safeguarding of the function of reproduction. It tells us that women should have control over their reproduction choice, including family planning decisions. And secondly, the Convention addresses women's health and safety in various contexts, including the workplace. The reference of safeguarding the function of reproduction underscores the importance of protecting women's reproductive health within occupational environment. This could involve measures to ensure safe working conditions during pregnancy, or policies that prevent discrimination based on reproductive choices.
Good day everyone, my task is all about the OK concept of violations of health-related rights. So, first is autonomy. Autonomy, it means ito ang karapatan ng isang babae na gumawa ng mga desisyon tungkol sa kanyang pagkamayabong at sexualidad na malaya sa pamimilit at karahasan. Then, equality, discrimination, and difference, it means ang pagkapantay-pantay at nagpapahiwatig ng walang diskriminasyon. Ang diskriminasyon ay paglabag sa karapatan sa pagkapantay-pantay, ang terminong laban sa kababaihan bilang anumang pagkakaiba, pagbubukod o pagbawi na ginawa batay sa mga kasarian na may epekto o layunin ng pagbawas o pagpapawalang bisa sa pagkilala sa kasiyahan o pag-ehersisyo ng mga kababaihan. Anuman ang kanilang katayuan sa pag-aasawa batay sa pagkapantay-pantay ng mga lalaki at kababaihan ng mga karapatang pantao at mga pangunahing kalayaan sa pampolitika at pang-ekonomika.
Causes of violence against women. Violence against women happens because women and men are not equal, while ang men also naka-experiences the violence tungod sa ilang gender, and it's not systematic in the same way. And mauna mga possible ways to prevent violence against women. First, are community-based. Second, challenge attitude, norms, and behavior. Third, include men and women. Fourth, empower women and girls. Fifth, promote self-led change. 6. Make a long-term commitment to communities. Gain support of traditional and religious leadership. Increase awareness and understanding of the issue among government officials. Support women access to comprehensive services. Types of violence. Violence in home. Domestic violence to despair of total violence against women can be understood through the example that 40 to 70% of murders of women are committed by their husband or boyfriend. Psychological violence is mauni siya mga abusive relationship ng mga person nga na-receive sa incoherent message sama sa I love you but I hate you, or ang actions such as I hug you but I insult you. This phenomenon is called dissociation in psychology, and it is used to solve the cognitive dissonance of the two opposite message. Second, economic violence, avoidance, and responsibility regarding household expenditure. And third is harmful tradition practices reflect values and beliefs held by members of a community for periods often spanning generation.
Good day everyone. In my topic, we will tackle the harmful tradition practices. It reflects values and beliefs held by members of a community for periods often spanning generation. Example of sexual harassment. Traditional cultural practices reflects values and beliefs held by members of a community for periods often spanning generations. Forced marriage. Bajau tradition of marriage is prearranged by the parents for their sons and daughter at an early age. The process is similar to the ethnic groups, which a dowry is often presented to the parents of the woman that a man wishes to marry. By Peralta 2002. Second one is child marriage. Reason of child marriage are deep-rooted customs, social norms, and practices often priorities early marriage. Child marriage is rooted in gender inequality and patriarchal system, that is, system controlled by and for men, that value girls less because of their sex. Female genital cutting. Girls are most commonly cut shortly after birth to age 15. In half countries for which national figures were available in 2000 to 2010, most girls had been cut by age 5. Over 80% of those cut are cut before the age of 5 in Nigeria, Eritrea, Ghana, and Mauritania. PGM or female genital mutilation is carried out as a way to control women's sexuality, which is sometimes said to be insatiable if parts of the genitalia, especially the clitoris, are not removed. It is thought to ensure virginity before marriage and fidelity afterwards, and to increase male sexual pleasure. Next one is honor crimes. Ang bilang sa honor crimes are physical abuse like kicking and beating, psychological pressure, strict monitoring, humiliation or threats, abandonment, forced suicide, honor killing or murder. Next one is dowry. This is the common sa mga sexual harassment. The money, goods, or state that a woman brings to her husband or his family in marriage. Next is female and infanticide. The intentional killing of baby girls due to the preference for male babies and from the low value associated with the birth of female. These practices arise in areas where cultural norms value male children over female children. Female infanticide is prevalent in several nations, such as China, India, and Pakistan. It has been argued that the low status in which women are viewed in patriarchal societies creates a bias against female. And the last one is trafficking of women. Women and girls are usually trafficked for the purpose of sexual and economic exploitation, particularly prostitution and pornography, forced labor, including for work in commercial agriculture and domestic work, arranged marriage, or to be sold as brides. Requirement for participation is hostilities and such related purposes as sexual services, portage, and domestic functions in conflict situations. Violence by the state. Conflict situations. The systematic use of rape and other form of sexual violence have been recognized to be weapons of war against women. Second is labor camps. Many women underwent extrajudicial punishment in labor camps of Nazi Germany and Soviet Union. War and militarism. Produce special environments that allow to increase against women. Violence in empowerment system. Women's shelter workers are often reduced themselves to contributing to violence against women by exploiting their vulnerability in exchange for a paying job. The last one is sexual harassment in family. Is a types of discrimination based on sex. When someone is sexually harassed where they live, it can make them feel very vulnerable. Example of sexual harassment are asking for sex in exchange for a benefit or a favor, repeatedly asking for dates and not taking no for an answer, demanding hugs, making unnecessary physical contacts, including unwanted touching, using rude or insulting language, or making comments towards women, calling people sex-specific derogatory names, making sex-related comments about a person's physical characteristics or action, saying or doing something because you think a person does not conform to sex rule stereotypes, posting or sharing pornography, sexual pictures or cartoons, sexually explicit, graffiti, or other sexual images. Making sexual jokes, and last is bragging about sexually prowess.
Good day everyone, my topic is all about what you can do. Dapat tayong manalangin sa Diyos para gabayan ang ating mga kabataan tungo sa maayos na sexual. Tips to help prepare your teen to talk with you. First, teach sex holistically. Kailangan nilang maunawaan na ang pagpapanatili ng sexual na integridad ay hindi lamang pag-iwas sa pisikal na sexual na pag-uugali. Ito ay isang issue ng puso, sabi ni Jackson. Pangalawa, keep communication open. Gumugol ng oras sa kanila para malaman nilang available ka kung dumating ang problema at makipag-usap sa mga kabataan. Pangatlo, be present. Makipag-usap sa kanila kung may trabaho ang iyong anak. Bisitahin siya sa trabaho at makipagkita sa kanyang mga supervisor. Pang-apat, listen intently. Bigyan pansin ang pagbabago sa disposisyon o mga reklamo ng iyong teenager tungkol sa paralan o trabaho. Panghuli, set digital guidelines. Tulungan ang iyong pamilya na kontrolin ang mga paggamit ng teknolohiya. If harassment happen, consider the following step. First is do not latch along. Madalas na nagsisimula sa maliit ang isang panliligalig marahil sa isang innuendo o maruming biro. Know the law. Alamin ang batas. Ang bawat paaralan at lugar ng trabaho ay kinakailangan na magkaroon ng isang patakaran na sexual na pagliligalig. Pagtukoy kung ano ito. Documents. Gumawa ng nakasulat na talaan ng mga petsa at mga particular na pangyayari. Report the problem. Humingi ng tulong mula sa sistema ng paaralan o lugar ng negosyo o pamunuan ng simbahan. Next, be present. Kung ang iyong mga reklamo ay natugunan ng walang pakialam papunta sa mas mataas na antas tulad ng disyerto ng paaralan, Departamento ng Edukasyon ng Estado o pamunuan ng kooperasyon. Last is get legal help. Kumuha ng legal na tulong kung kinakailangan ay isang abogado na dalubhasa sa sexual harassment ay maaring magbigay ng malagang tulong. Next, sexual harassment by newborn. Ang panliligalig ay isang serbisyong issue at kahit na maaari nating asahan ito sa kalye o kahit sa trabaho, madalas tayong nagbubulag-bulagan kapag tayo ay nasa bahay. Next is if your newborn is harassing you, consider some essential steps. Next is if your neighbor is harassing you, consider some essential steps. First, identify the harassing behavior. One common form that harassment take involves police agency. For example, your neighbor may start calling in noise complaint to the police directed at your property. Next is documents everything. If the police come to your home, ascertain acts where to come in your house and name the officer. If you notice damage in your property, take picture of each. Communicate to another neighbor. When you are asking around, speak to your neighbor in a calm and deliberate manner. Be very clear confrontation with your neighbor. Last is contacting legal authority. Malagang huwag basta-basta ang pagliligalig mula sa isang kapitbahay. Kung nagka-problema sila, para guluhin ka ng may presensya ng pulis. Next is reproductive right and sexual right. First, the human development. Matagal nang nagbibigay diin ng diskarte sa pag-unlad ng tao ang kalagahan ng mabuting kalusugan bilang isang elementong bumubuo ng parehong intersect. Second, family planning. Ang pagplano ng pamilya ay may mahusay na dokumentong benepisyong pagkalusugan para sa mga ina, bagong silang, pamilya at komunidad. Last is woman ability to obtain and effectively. Ang paggamit ng mga contraceptive ay may positibong epekto sa kanilang edukasyon at partisipasyon ng mga manggagawa, gayon din sa mga kasunod na resulta na may kaugnayan sa kita, kalusugan ng isip at kaligayahan at kapakanan ng mga bata.
So, my topic for today is abortion. So, what is abortion? It is a single most controversial reproductive rights issues in the United States. The issue turns on whether a woman should have the right to terminate a pregnancy that would amount to a living human being if remain untouched. Next is the sexual rights. So the sexual rights refers to every person's freedom and entitlements to live in dignity. The next topic is obligation and duties under international law. So there are three topics. So first is respect. So respect state must refrain from interfering with or curtailing the enjoyment of human rights. Next is protect. Protect requires state to protect individuals and group against human rights abuses. Lastly is fulfill. Fulfill states must take positive actions to facilitate the enjoyment of basic human rights. So the next topic is sexual right issues. So what is sexual rights issues? Sexual rights issues, human rights related to sexual address a wide range of issues and often intersects with several other rights. So the following are the examples of sexual rights issues. So first, bodily anatomy, comprehensive sexual education, criminalization and other restrictions on safe abortion, discrimination against women and girls, early forced marriage, female genital mutilation, gender-based violence, gender equality, gender identities and expressions, HIV or AIDS, mental morbidity and morality, reproductive rights, rights of intersex people, rights of sex workers, and sexual orientation, and lastly is sexual rights of young people. So those are the following examples of sexual rights issues. Next is a positive sexual experience. So the positive sexual experience are those that are consensual, respectful, and protected. Sexual experience that violates someone's sexual rights is disrespectful and often non-consensual. It may also be unprotected. So that's all for my report. Thank you.
So next is sexual rights. First is the right to make your own decisions about being sexual or not, regardless of your partner wishes. Each of one has the right to make your own decisions about of your partners. Just to make sure that you are responsible enough of your actions and you are determined in facing or conquering its challenges. Second is the right to make your own decisions about birth control and protections from sexually transmitted infections or STIs, regardless of your partner's wishes. The right to make free and responsible reproductive choices. You as your partner, you have the right to decide in terms of pregnancy, especially nowadays that we are facing uncertainties. We should be accountable of our decision because it might affect our status of living in the futures. Next is the right to stop sexual activity at any time, including during or just before intercourse. All of us has the right of this because if you can do such things repeatedly or several times, you can blame yourself or your partner because it's your body. Next is the right to tell anyone that you are not comfortable being hugged or kissed in certain ways. This is a common right for you to feel secure or unsafe. Next is the right to ask partner if she or he has been examined for sexually transmitted infections or STIs. As a couple, this is very important so that it would be clear to the both of you that no one is being forced or ordered. Next is the right to tell a partner what you would like to sexually or to tell a partner that you would like to be hugged, cuddle, or touched without sex. Next is the right to masturbate. We have the right to masturbate. Let's be an open-minded because this is normal. Because if there's no masturbation happen, it will infect you annually. Next is the right to sexual autonomy, sexual integrity, and safety of your sexual body. This is the right of everyone because there's nothing wrong if you just want to be safe every time you and your partner intercourse. Next is the right to sexual privacy. Of course, we have the right to the sexual privacy. It's very embarrassing if you spill or spread this kind of things because in the first it's HNS if you will make it publicity. Next is the right to sexual equity. We have the right to access opportunities regardless of our gender, race, even culture. This is something that has been lacking now. That's why it is very important to address this right because it is slowly fading in today's society. Next is the right to sexual pleasure. Sexual pleasures can lead to orgasm. Your partner must have this one. The sexual pleasures can help both of you to enjoy during sex time. Next is the right to emotional sexual expressions. Everyone has the right to freedom of expressions regarding sexuality and has the right to express their own sexuality through their behavior. Next is the right to emotional sexual expressions. Everyone has the right to freedom expressions regarding sexuality and has the right to express their own sexuality through their behavior. Next is the right to comprehensive sexuality education. We have the right of sexuality education that aims to give students the knowledge, attitudes, skills, and values to make appropriate and healthy choices in their sexual lives. This is essential for us to be knowledgeable enough and not being ignorant in terms of sex. Next is the right to sexual information based upon scientific inquiry. We have the right to sexual information because it is everyone's right to access to the conditions that allows fulfillment
and expressions of their sexuality free from any discriminations without being judged. Next is the right to sexual health care. These rights allow people to make informed and meaningful decisions about their own sexual well-being, such as their relationship about their own family planning or their bodies. It is crucial for us to access the rights for us to make decisions and avoid unpleasant things. Many people do not even bother to comment or raise their voice against the incidents because of social stigma. It is the slow redressal process. As a wise person said that precaution is better than cure. It is better to curb an incident before they occur. Here are some useful pointers for the educational organizations and the top management. They intend to ensure prevention of sexual harassment. First is Inter-Complainant Committee or ICC. Educational institute should form an internal complainant committee to look after the issues related to sexual harassment and molestations cases or etc. Next is immediate actions to be taken. Teachers, supervisors, student body representatives shall take prompt actions on their own for any repeated sexual innuendo, obscene jokes and lewd remarks or whistling which is happening under their watch. Next is communication through informal communication. Faculties, supervisors should engage in a formal chat with a female of the organizations to understand if they are facing any such as issues in the classes, campus or even outside campus. Next is formulations of an effective policy. Have a safe, healthy, sound, soothing environment of studying. Counseling sessions can be provided. Next is easy to reach. Then senior professors and psychology teachers should be and student reach for open or closed discussion sessions. Next is installing of camera and premises. Installing cameras within the premises is also one of the most effective way to curb sexual harassment cases in educational institutions. Next is get parents involved. Parental involvement is critical to long-term behavior or modifications. Next is creating awareness among students and educate sexual harassment. The main aim is to sensitive individual to the methodology of the sexual harassment organization. Awareness sessions among students is another solution to curb sexual harassment in an educational institute. That's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My topic today is all about abuse in institutions. Sometimes when a family finds its foods hard to care for a disabled woman, they decide to place her in institutions or residential homes. Kapag nahirapan na isang pamilya na pangalagaan ng isang babae, may kapansanan na pagpasyahan nila ilagay sa isang institution sa isang tirahan. The field of institutions will be able to care for their daughter or mother better than themselves can many people who live in institutions or residential homes also get a feelings of belonging and have a community of people around them. Pakiramdam nila ay mas mahalagang ng institution sa kanilang anak na babae o ina kaysa sa mga nakatira sa mga institution sa mga tahanan ng tirahan ay nakakakuha din ng pakiramdam ng pag-aari at may isang komunidad ng mga tao sa kanilang paligid. Next, disabled people in institutions often have a little controls their own lives. They are usually what to do and cannot make many decisions on their own. Ang taong mga may kapansanan sa institutions ay nakadalasang may kaunting control sa kanilang sariling buhay. Karaniwang sinasabi sa kanilang kung ano ang gagawin at hindi nakakagawa sa maraming desisyon sa kanilang sarili. Ang kabaihan ay may mga kahirapan sa pag-aaral ay na particular sa mga pag-uunawa sa kanilang sarili. In addition to kinds of abuse methods, early women with disabilities can face other kinds of abuse and violence for sex with workers, caretakers, or other residents. Examples: sexual abuse of an elderly person's occurs where caregiver or another person's force wanted sexual contact or penetrations with elderly persons. Next, being beaten, stupid hurt. Examples: to protect them and say to the bigger straight boy to not hurt children case they might be to jails because they hurt children, so they can go to jail and occurs child abuse. Next, no activities for work or pleasures, always being bored. Examples: lack of interest in activities and able to sustain interest for more than brief periods, and able to rest or relax, and no feelings or excitement, and the last is difficulty staying and motivated. Next, all forced fertilizations or abortions. Examples: young women receiving two allegations when they were getting often to marriage. Next, being locked in room alone. And examples: it can feel that something's physically preventing you from moving. Next, being ice baths or cold shower as a punishment. And examples: this can actually traumatize a child and lead them develop a fear waters and bathings in the general. Next, forced meditations, tranquilizers. And examples: taking a cold tranquilizers are prescribed for the excited, acute stares, reactions, and panic attack, and commonly no medications include Xanax, Valium, and Alium. And the next is having to undress and or be naked in front in other people's. And next is watching other people be abused or hurt. And the last is being tied down of food, returns, and able to more. That's all. Thank you.
Next is some common reactions you might also experience includes the following. First is feeling differently about sex even with your regular partner. Feeling responsible for the assault or abuse. Feeling isolated, alone, and out of touch with the rest of the world. Believing no one can understand how you are feeling. Unable to stop thinking about the assault. Unable to think clearly or concentrate. Not wanting to be touched by anyone. Feeling that you cannot trust anyone. And lastly, feeling unsafe when you are alone.